Hello and welcome to Mickeyology. I'm Austin Rathall, professional history teacher and lifelong Disney devotee, and today we're exploring one of the most famous and popular stories in not only the Disney canon, but in all of mythology and folklore, the story of Aladdin. This story has been told numerous times over the centuries, but the version most modern people know is the Disney version, about a poor orphan who falls in love with a princess and poses as a prince to win her love. This story has many elements from the original folktale Aladdin, but it also differs from the original in ways that might surprise you. So let's examine the similarities and differences between the two film versions of Disney's Aladdin with the original story about a boy and a lamp. Structure and format. The story of Aladdin comes from a collection of Middle Eastern folktales called the Arabian Nights, or the 1001 Nights. There are several versions of these tales, but the version of Aladdin I will refer to is the one translated by Sir Richard Burton in 1885. Burton's version is a 39,000 plus word length novella. This gave Disney a fair amount of material to work with when they adapted the story into an animated film in 1992 and a live-action film in 2019. However, Disney still changed many elements of the story, especially its tone. The original story contains adult themes and rather sensual content. Please keep that in mind as we discuss the plot of the story. The story also contains problematic depictions of various racial groups, especially in illustrated versions. In addition to tone and themes, Disney's versions also changed much of the story's plot and characters. Characters. There are only a few characters that are included in all three versions of Aladdin. Aladdin himself, the Sultan, and the palace guards. Other characters are present in each version, but in different variations. The princess in the original tale is named Badr al-Budur, while Disney has Princess Jasmine. Disney combines the evil magician from Morocco and the royal vizier from the Burton story to create the single character of Jafar. Disney combines the two genies of the original tale, the genie of the ring and the genie of the lamp, into their single character of genie. Lastly, there are some characters who appear in one version of the story but not the others. Aladdin's mother and the vizier's son appear in the folktale but not the Disney versions. Iago, Abu, Raja the tiger, and the magic carpet are present in both Disney versions but not in the folktale. The leader of the palace guard is Rasul in the animated film, but in the live-action film it is the more sympathetic Hakim. Finally, Jasmine's handmaiden Dahlia appears only in the live-action film. Plot. Here is the plot of the original Aladdin folktale. A tailor in China has a son named Aladdin who refuses to learn a trade and instead always runs off to play with other boys on the street. The tailor dies sorrowing at his son's laziness. The tailor's wife sells his shop and she supports herself and Aladdin by spinning and selling yarn. Aladdin does not mend his ways and becomes even lazier as he reaches his 15th year. An evil magician from Morocco shows up in town one day and recognizes Aladdin as the one he needs to obtain the powerful treasure he seeks. The sorcerer tells Aladdin he is his long-lost uncle and dines with Aladdin and his mother at their home. He offers to get Aladdin started as a merchant and to buy him new clothes and help him set up a shop. One day he takes Aladdin on a walk up into the barren hill country. There the magician burns twigs and chants a spell that causes the mountain to split open and reveal a stone slab door. The magician tells Aladdin to pronounce his own name and the names of his parents to lift the door. Aladdin does so and gains access to the cave beneath. The magician tells Aladdin to enter and not touch any of the gold he sees until he comes to an enchanted garden and recovers a lamp. He also gives Aladdin a ring that will protect him from danger while he is underground. Aladdin descends and walks past a jar of gold that he does not touch. He comes to the garden and finds trees that grow gems instead of fruit. He takes some of them before retrieving the dingy lamp from a pedestal in the garden. When he reaches the entrance again, the magician demands the lamp before Aladdin can climb outside, but it is buried in Aladdin's pocket beneath the gold and gems. Angry, the magician causes the cave door to slam shut over Aladdin, trapping him underground. The enraged magician then slinks back to his homeland, empty-handed. Down in the cave, anxious about his impending death, Aladdin prays and wrings his hands, accidentally summoning the genie of the ring. The genie says he will give Aladdin whatever he wants, and Aladdin wishes to leave the cave and go home. The genie grants his wish. When he returns, Aladdin's mother says they have no money for food. Aladdin suggests selling the lamp, and his mother polishes it, summoning the genie inside. His mother faints at the sight of this grand genie, but Aladdin asks the genie for food, which the genie brings on fine metal platters. Aladdin and his mother feast, and they realize they will now want for nothing. Thereafter, Aladdin reforms himself and becomes an upstanding member of his community. One day, Aladdin sees the princess's procession on its way to the bath. It is forbidden to look upon the princess, but Aladdin hides behind the door inside the bathhouse to get a glimpse of her beauty. When he sees her remove her veil inside, he falls in love with her. He sends his mother to the Sultan to ask for her hand in marriage, and the Sultan, impressed by the jewels Aladdin's mother presents him, says yes. But the royal vizier, who wants his own son to marry the princess, advises the Sultan to wait 3 months. Before the 3 months is over, the Sultan apparently forgets his promise and allows the vizier's son to marry the princess. Aladdin learns of this, and on the night that the couple is to consummate their relationship, Aladdin orders the genie of the lamp to bring them both to him. The genie obeys, and I'm going to quote the text for this next part. Aladdin then tells the genie, "Carry yonder gallows bird hence, and lay him at full length in the privy." His bidding was done straightway, but before leaving him, the genie blew upon the bridegroom a blast so cold that it shriveled him, and the plight of the vizier's son became piteous.
That's enough.
Well, after several miserable and uneventful nights like this, the bridegroom asks to be released from his marriage to the princess. Aladdin then asks the Sultan to honor his covenant. When the Sultan realizes that Aladdin and his mother are poor, he looks for a way out of their deal. The vizier advises the Sultan to require an enormous dowry of Aladdin. But Aladdin pays it with the help of the genie of the lamp. The Sultan agrees to the marriage, Aladdin marries the princess, and the genie of the lamp conjures up a white palace for them to live in. Aladdin helps the beggars and the needy in the community and becomes admired by all around him. Meanwhile, the evil magician hears about Aladdin's success and flies back to China to seek revenge. He disguises himself as a peddler, swapping new lamps for old ones. While Aladdin is away on a hunt, Badr al-Budur gives Aladdin's old lamp to the peddler, who uses it to summon the genie. He wishes for the princess, the palace, and himself to be transported back to his own country, and it is done. When the Sultan sees Aladdin's palace has disappeared, he is distraught. Aladdin comes back to the city, and the royal guards arrest him and take him before the Sultan, who demands to know what has happened to his daughter and sentences Aladdin to death. The people cry out on Aladdin's behalf, and the Sultan sets Aladdin free. Aladdin summons the genie of the ring and wishes for his palace and wife to be returned to him, but the genie of the ring says this is all the work of the genie of the lamp, whose magic is too powerful for him to undo. So Aladdin wishes to be brought to the palace, and the genie grants the wish. At the palace, Aladdin finds Badr al-Budur. She says the sorcerer has been pressuring her to marry him, and she has refused his advances. Aladdin tells her to dress fine and wear perfume and dine with the sorcerer. When the sorcerer returns to the palace, the princess entices him to dine with her and to drink wine which is laced with sleeping herbs. The sorcerer drinks it and passes out. Aladdin then steals back the lamp from the sorcerer and kills him. The genie of the lamp returns them all and the palace back to China, where they tell the Sultan what happened. The Sultan orders the sorcerer's body to be burnt and its ashes scattered in the air. This story obviously differs from the Disney versions in many ways. Disney's Aladdin takes place in the Middle Eastern land of Agrabah, while the folktale is set in China. In the Disney films, Aladdin has only one genie who grants him only 3 wishes, unlike the folktale in which Aladdin has 2 genies who differ in power but place no limits on the number of wishes they will grant. In the Disney film, Aladdin frees the genie from servitude in the end, which never happens in the original story. In fact, the original text refers to the genies as slaves, and never mentions the possibility that Aladdin might choose to set them free. Disney's Aladdin is keenly aware that he has the genie at his disposal and needs him to carry out his wishes. While the Aladdin in the folktale remembers he has the genie of the lamp, for some reason he always tends to forget he has the genie of the ring. Finally, Disney's Aladdin defeats his evil sorcerer by turning him into a genie and binding him to a lamp, while the original story has Aladdin kill the sorcerer. Easter eggs and references. There are plenty of Easter eggs and nods to the folktale that we can see in Disney's movies. The merchant narrator in the animated film could be a nod to Aladdin's almost becoming a merchant in the folktale. While there is no magic carpet in the original tale, Aladdin does order a carpet to run from the Sultan's palace to his own so that the princess will not walk upon common earth. There are treasures Aladdin is ordered not to touch in the story, although he is apparently safe to touch them after he has the lamp. When Abu touches the jewels in the films, it causes the entire cave to collapse. Jasmine's suitors in the films could be a nod to the vizier's son who courts her and nearly marries her in the story. Aladdin's mother was actually part of the concepts for the animated film, but she was cut from the movie, along with a song Aladdin sang to her. The lamp is on a pedestal in the films, as it was in the story. The genie of the lamp saves Aladdin from the underground cave in the films, like the genie of the ring does in the folktale. There are lots of Islamic references in the story, as there are in the animated films, though the ones in the written tale are much more explicit than the ones in the movie. Perhaps the part of the films that is most like the story of Aladdin can be found in the song Prince Ali, which depicts Aladdin as generous to the commoners and ridiculously wealthy, with many servants and slaves. It also refers to Aladdin's made-up military exploits, and in the folktale, there is a brief episode in which Aladdin leads an army to victory over the enemies of the Sultan. Aladdin is captured by the Sultan's guards in the story, as he is in the movies, though in the story the guards arrest him on the Sultan's orders, not Jafar's. Aladdin's banishment to the ends of the earth in the films is an inversion of what happens in the folktale, when the sorcerer takes the princess and the palace far away. Finally, Jasmine seduces Jafar in the animated film to distract him from Aladdin, sort of like how Badr al-Budur seduces the sorcerer in the story to drug him. The wine may be inspired by the sleeping potion the sorcerer drinks in the story. Well, those are the similarities and differences between the Disney versions of Aladdin and their source material. What surprised you the most? Were there any differences that were particularly surprising when you heard them? Have you ever read the story of Aladdin yourself? And what did you think of Disney's adaptations? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.